There is a massive, multi-billion-dollar lie sitting right underneath your feet, and frankly, it kills me that I have to be the one to tell you this, because you should have learned it in the 3rd grade. While you're sitting there panicking about the next blackout or watching your bank account bleed out to utility companies that hike rates every time a CEO needs a new yacht, you are literally walking on top of a free power plant. The corporate narrative is simple. If you want electricity, you have to buy it from them, or you have to drop $5,000 on a lithium-ion solar setup that'll probably fry the moment a real surge hits. They want you to believe that power is a commodity they own, but the reality for the struggling person in the US or Europe right now is much grimmer. You're being told to choose between heating and eating, while the soil in your own backyard is vibrating with untapped energy. It's called the Galvanic Earth Battery, and the reason you haven't heard of it isn't because it doesn't work, it's because it's a dollar store solution to a $1,000 problem. I am genuinely annoyed that I have to explain this to a generation that can operate a smartphone but can't harvest a millivolt from the mud. Today, I'm exposing the truth about how giant conglomerates keep you tethered to the grid like a literal battery for their profits. I'm going to show you exactly how to bypass the system using a copper pipe and a galvanized nail. We're going to look at why this forbidden secret is buried. We'll test the actual output claims, and I'll show you how this $1 hack can keep your phone alive and your emergency lights on when the rest of your neighborhood is sitting in the dark wondering why their expensive smart home just turned into a high-priced brick. If you're tired of being a financial donor to the power grid, pay attention. The macro fact is that energy companies spend millions on lobbying to ensure that off-grid solutions are illegal or prohibitively expensive through complex permitting. The why is obvious. They need a captive audience. If you can generate your own power for the price of a cup of coffee, their entire business model collapses. For you, the micro impact is that every time there's a grid instability warning, your anxiety spikes because you think you're helpless. But let's look at the formula. So what does the existence of the Earth battery actually mean for you? It means if you are trying to keep your communication lines open during a total blackout, the system just made it 100 times more expensive by forcing you toward proprietary power banks. But here's how we bypass that. You take a piece of copper and a piece of galvanized steel, shove them into moist earth about 3 feet apart, and congratulations, you've just built a galvanic cell. The moisture in the soil acts as the electrolyte, and the chemical reaction between the zinc and the copper creates a flow of electrons. It's basic chemistry that the industry has simplified out of our education system, so they can sell you a subscription to life. If you want fact-checked analysis like this that strips away the corporate panic and actually gives you a fighting chance, take 2 seconds to hit subscribe right now. I'm not here to sell you a survival kit with a 500% markup. I'm here to make sure you stop being a victim of your own lack of knowledge. Now let's talk about the translation of this secret into your daily struggle. The industry tells you need high voltage AC for everything. That's the mechanism they use to drain your wallet. They push all electric homes because they know you can't easily manufacture 240 volts in your backyard without massive equipment. But what do you actually need in a crisis? You need 5 volts for a phone and 3 volts for an LED. That's it. By focusing on the macro high-voltage lie, they make the micro emergency power seem impossible. The formula here is simple. If you're trying to stay informed during a disaster, the system made it expensive by hiding the fact that low-voltage DC is all around you. By chaining these earth batteries in a series parallel configuration, you can pull enough juice to trickle charge a phone or run an emergency radio indefinitely. Is it going to run your toaster? No, and if you thought it would, you're the reason these companies are winning. It's about survival, not luxury. It's about the fact that for $1 in scrap metal, you have a power source that never expires, unlike those lithium bricks that lose their charge after 6 months in a drawer. Think about the chemicals in the soil. The industry wants you to buy their green batteries, but those batteries require cobalt mined in horrific conditions. Meanwhile, the earth under your feet is already a giant chemical soup waiting to be tapped. When you realize that a simple iron rod and a copper wire can harvest the potential difference of the planet itself, the energy crisis starts to look like a manufactured scam. They want you to stay in a state of high-cost dependence. If you can't pay the bill, they flip a switch and you're in 1800s. But with a ground battery, the only person who can flip the switch is you. If you're finding value in this and you're ready to stop being a consumer and start being a survivor, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next deep dive into the hacks they're trying to regulate out of existence. The system is designed to keep you looking up at the power lines, hoping they stay up, rather than looking down at the ground that can keep you powered up. This isn't just about millivolts, it's about the psychological shift from being a customer to being a commander of your own environment. Every time I see someone crying on the news because their phone died during a storm, I get annoyed because the solution was literally in the mud in their flower box. We've been conditioned to think that technology must be complex and expensive to be effective. That is the ultimate corporate win. As we wrap this up, I want you to ground yourself. Literally. Self-reliance beats the system every single day of the week. You don't need a permit to stick a rod in the dirt. You don't need a contract to harvest electrons. As the world gets more volatile, you need to watch for 3 specific metrics in the news that signal the system is trying to pivot and lock you down further. First, watch for new safety regulations regarding home-built electrical systems. This is code for "we're losing money." Second, watch for spikes in the price of copper and zinc scrap. The industry knows these are the keys to the kingdom. Third, look for smart meter mandates that allow utility companies to remotely throttle your usage during peaks. These are all signs that the corporate grip is tightening. The headlines want you to panic, they want you to feel small, and they definitely want you to keep your credit card ready. But the data tells us to prepare, to simplify, and to use the physics that have existed since the dawn of time. I will be tracking these metrics and these forbidden alternatives for you, so make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are on. You can either be the person waiting for the power to come back on, or you can be the person who never let it go out in the first place. Get your rods, get your wire, and get to work. The Earth is waiting to give you what the utility company wants to sell you. Stop paying for what you already own.